The butterfly manor wasn't quite a mansion, but truth be told, it was the size of my shrine back at Akatsuki, just by average. Or my mother was too extravagant. My God, I can't read. Nonetheless, I walked towards the house and stood in front of the door, waiting for someone to grant me access. I waited and waited. I took out my pocket watch. Only 3 minutes passed by. Excuse me, I called. This is Hano Yin. I am at this residence to see Kayaka. Shinobu-sama has given me permission to. Still nothing. I sighed tiredly. Hano, what a coincidence, a male voice said with immiscible joy. It was one of the pillars. His smile was quite charming. Well, with all honesty, all of him was alluring and good-looking. Good afternoon, sir, I greeted, bowing. Please don't call me sir. I'm not that old, he said before tilting so his gaze could meet mine. Or do I look too old, perhaps? No, not at all, I stammered, blushing and backing away. I deeply apologize. Rengoku Kojiro, the red and yellowed hair male said, still smiling. And there's no need to bow when greeting me. If our master sees you as a person even superior than him, then I should be the one bowing in front of you. Please don't. I stopped the male from bowing, to which he laughed wholeheartedly. You're very blushful and adorable. No wonder why you catch many eyes, Rengoku said. Before I could faint for even being too overwhelmed, I cleared my throat and calmed myself down. What is your purpose of your visit? I came for medicine checkup with Shinobu, he replied. What about you, Hano? I came to see Kayaka and Tanjiro, I said, my mind still remembering something, making me whelp out of the sudden. Rengoku jolted in surprise. Does Shinobu-san take injured people too? My friends are hurt during our last mission, and I'm sorry to hear that. I hope they recover quickly, Rengoku said. And of course Shinobu has a clinic in her estate. Would you like me to take you there? Oh, I appreciate the offer, but I must wait until I'm allowed to enter the premises, and Rengoku didn't let me finish my words, because he held my hand and led me inside the manor. Rengoku-san, why are you so formal? He laughed. As long as you have a good reason, you can visit the estate any time you want. Still, this is no reason to hold my hand, I retorted, blushing. Then I shall let go of your hand, Rengoku hummed, smiling softly as he stopped holding my hand. As we walked inside the house, I admired every detail and carving on the walls and doors, caressing carelessly them from time to time. It was nicely decorated, and the ambient was quiet. Well, we are here, he finally said, letting go of my hand. Thank you, Rengoku. I smiled as calmly as possible. Well, I must head out now. Take care, Hano-sama. Rengoku bowed. Who is the one being formal now? I said with a small giggle. My, it seems all the pillars are quite unique characters. Rengoku seemed tense, although his smile was still present, and his face dimly flushed red. He cleared his throat and let out a loud, short laugh. Now I apologize. I hope we meet again soon, Hano. Take care. I farewelled, watching him proudly walk away somewhere. I let out a silent sigh as I slid open the door. I don't like this medicine. It tastes horrible and it's weird, and I think it just moved. Zenitsu's loud voice ran through my ears, making me wince. My eyes soon filled with relief. Zenitsu. The Alphamation boy looked at me and scurried his way towards me, soon clinging onto my legs and burying his face over my clothed-covered stomach. Yin-chan, I missed you so much. I couldn't stop thinking about you, and the charm you gave me worked. Then I suddenly fell unconscious and... All right, please calm down. I pried Zenitsu off me. I soon realized that he was shorter than before, and one of his arms was smaller. Zenitsu, a demon did this to me, he sobbed blowing his nose with a tissue he had nearby. You must take your medicine if you want to get better, I said, picking him up off the floor. I was surprised when oh my god, I can't read. I first was surprised but soon giggled. You're like an infant, Zenitsu. The blonde blushed as I set him on the bed. The medicine is super nasty and sour, and my hands are too weak to hold things currently, Zenitsu said, trying to grab the medicine pack, which soon fell to the floor. See? Seriously? I sighed. Which is your medicine? That cup? Zenitsu looked at the clay vase with the medicine on the nightstand, which I grabbed and held carefully in front of his mouth. In a few seconds, the cup was empty. He had a face of disgust, lightly gagging. Try not to make such a ruckus. You might disturb everyone around, I said, to which Zenitsu nodded. I smiled lightly. Sleep for a while. That will help you recover quickly. Zenitsu obeyed, tucking himself in more into the bed. I killed a demon on my own. I know. You did well. I hummed, still keeping my faint smile. Are you proud of me? He asked, his eyes gleaming with hope. Yes, I am. Now rest. I replied. He smiled and closed his eyes, soon falling asleep. And who are you? A blue-eyed girl asked me. My name is Kanao. I came to visit my fellow friends in Kayaka. Shinobu has granted me permission to, I replied, making a small bow. I'm sorry to intrude in such non-manner fashion. Kazao Ayoi. And don't worry about introducing. At least you managed to keep him quiet and made him drink his medicine, she hummed, looking at Zenitsu. Is Tanjiro around here, perchance? I asked. He is, a boy with a scar on his forehead. He's having a checkup with Shinobu, she replied. What about the blue-haired male with a boar mask? I asked once again. Have you taken a look behind you? Kasei, sorry, I never really hear her name, so it's really hard for me to pronounce, pointed behind me. In the corner of the room, there was Inosuke with his mask on. Inosuke. I rushed next to the boy, who neither moved nor looked at me. He laid idly on his bed. I soon grew worried. Inosuke? Don't talk to me, he replied. His voice was more deep and ragged than usual. I'm not worthy of you, or Kayaka. Why do you say that? What happened? I asked with concern, placing a hand on Inosuke's shoulder. I was too weak to protect him. He almost got eaten by a demon, Inosuke replied with a trembling tone, his hands fisted. Even when you trusted me, I failed. I'm sorry for being too weak. I nearly fainted due to his words, but I kept myself calm and tried to reassure Inosuke. At least you held on until help arrived. Not many can do that. I am sure that you could have done better, but I'd rather this than having neither of you. His head directed towards me. He nuzzled his masked face against my hand. How much will you take to recover? Maybe a few more days, he replied. Good, because once you finally are healed, my tone became darkened, making Inosuke shriek a little. I'm taking this matter in my hands. After my talk with Hashibara, I asked Kazuki-san where's Shinobu-san so I could see Tanjiro and how he was doing. I miss Kayaka greatly, although he just left today. I took my footwear off and left it in the entrance, and then to find Shinobu-san. After following the directions Kazuka-san gave me, I finally arrived. Kayaka's voice could be heard from outside, which made me shake my head with a small smile. I knocked on the door. Excuse me, this is Yin Hanao. May I come in? Can I open the door? I heard Kayaka ask. Sure, Shinobu-san replied. As soon as she finished those words, I heard rapid footsteps making their way towards the door. Kayaka opened the door and hugged me tightly, giggling, of course. I hugged back. Heyo, you did come to visit me, he cheered. Of course, why wouldn't I? As I stopped hugging Kayaka and lifted my gaze, I saw both Tanjiro and Rengoku-san. Exposing their upper bodies to Shinobu-san. The difference between both males were greater than any would imagine. Yin, Tanjiro beamed, getting out of my thoughts. Hano, we meet again, Rengoku said proudly, smiling, and sooner than expected. I soon blushed away and harshly slid the door shut. Pardon the intrusion. Isn't she very lively? I heard Rengoku laugh merrily. She should be like that more. I don't think she was like that just because, Shinobu-san with a half-amused tone. Of course not. I just saw a man, aside from my fiancé, have uncovered. Forgive me, gods, for I have sinned once again. 5 minutes passed and Shinobu walked out of the room, sliding the door shut behind her. Kayaka is smarter than what most kids are. He helped me perfect many medicines and poisons, even creating new antidotes. Shinobu smiled warmly. In fact, one of Zenitsu's medicines was made entirely by Kayaka. It seems I have educated him well, after all. I sighed with relief, making Shinobu-san tilt her head interrogatively. Kayaka is a fanatic of Inosuke, so most of said man's habits have passed on Kayaka quite quickly. I see. Shinobu-san smiled. Aside from discussing Kayaka's behavior so far, I want to ask if you would like to accompany Tanjiro-kun and the others with the recovery training. Recovery training? I asked back. Once Tanjiro-kun, Inosuke-kun, and Zenitsu-kun have healed, they will undergo a series of exercises to hone their stamina and combat abilities, Shinobu exclaimed. I know you weren't harmed, but that doesn't mean you can't have access to learning and improving yourself. I already have my own sort of training, and I don't wish to be a burden. I smiled apologetically, lightly bowing. Oh, nonsense. Besides, Kayaka would love to spend with you as much time as possible. Kayaka-san said. You can stay and train here if you'd like, or have a pillar train you perhaps. My mind soon went to Rengoku-san, which I flustered and shook my head frantically. No thank you. Great. Shinobu-san clasping her hands together. You can request Kazuka-san for a spare room. Training starts in the morning, in case you would like to join. Tanjiro and Kayaka left the room not long after. Kayaka cried oceans when he saw the awful condition Inosuke was in and tried to cheer up the masked boy. Even after getting battered by a demon and nearly letting Kayaka die, Inosuke was still admired by the infant like no other. Oh, Tanjiro had butted Inosuke as soon as he found out that Kayaka could have died at Naruktoma Mountain. Nonetheless, everyone was happy to see each other. Well, Inosuke was still bedridden, but he seemed quite happy. He also met with Matsuru again. He was really glad to see us all safe and alive. Sadly, he had to leave as soon as he arrived, since not only he got called for a new mission, but Shinobu-san's presence terrified him. More accurately, he was terrified of all the pillars. Tanjiro, Kayaka, and I were meeting up at Shinobu's medicine room, since both Kayaka and the Alpha Mission pillar were currently setting everything in order before heading to bed. And since most ferment ingredients and things people has made have a stronger effect than pure recently made food, or whether or not Shinobu-san and I can decide to see if wisteria would be a better effect if it got fermented. Kayaka beamed, making gestures with his hands and often flailing his hands around. You two get along easily. I smiled kindly, ruffling Kayaka's hair. Shinobu-san is really kind, Kayaka beamed. Sometimes her smile gives me chills, but she's still kind. Kayaka? I scolded. Don't worry about him, Shinobu-san said, placing empty bottles and containers on a shelf. She then looked at me. He's Now, quite a favor, one amongst Inosuke and Koyo, by the way. Already courting ladies, young man? I taunted Kayaka, to which he looked away and reddened angry face. That's not it. Don't worry, you'll find someone soon. Tanjiro smiled kindly, holding my hand. Like Yen and me. You know? Shinobu-san smiled as she placed a hand on Kayaka's shoulder. I think Naho likes you too. I said it's not like that. Kayaka fumed, making Shinobu-san giggle lightly. Now calm down, I smiled, checking my pocket watch. It's quite late already. We should go to sleep. Indeed, Shinobu-san nodded. Tanjiro and the others have training early morning. Tanjiro jolted and smiled nervously. I forgot about that. Where will Kayaka sleep? I asked, standing up. So did Tanjiro. I prepared him a room next to yours, Shinobu-san replied. I immediately tensed up. Can't he sleep in the same room as me, if possible? I requested as calmly as I could. He's never been alone, and he doesn't like being solitude. I've always been there for him, and Yen worries a lot about Kayaka, Tanjiro exclaimed before looking how I glared at him. I don't mean it in an inappropriate manner. I see, Shinobu-san hummed. All right then. Thank you. Well, I should go too. Tanjiro kissed my forehead. See you in the morning. Rest well. I will. Thank you. I smiled, tucking my hair behind my ear. Tanjiro smiled and started to walk away. Have a good night, Shinobu-san. I bowed before holding Kayaka's hand and walked out of the room. Good night, she replied. These clothes are so comfy and soft, Kayaka whispered happily, patting the pure white infirmary clothing he was wearing. Indeed, I hummed, wearing the same type of clothes. I then got on my bed and inside the covers, Kayaka also getting on my bed and snuggling next to me. You already have a bed. Just this time? Kayaka hummed softly, hugging me. All right then, I said softly, giggling, watching him faintly before falling asleep. It didn't take me long till I fell asleep as well.